The NBA Finals starts tomorrow, June 1st. Let's see if we can find some bets we like. Welcome back to the Green Means Go channel. It's your host, me. Again, I'm happy you're here, happy you stopped by. I'm going to take some time today and look at some, we'll call them futures, even though they're not futures, more series bets for the NBA Finals. We have the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets. We'll talk about what that means for us as we get through this, but I did want to go through because FanDuel and DraftKings both offer some series-wide props. So where I'm finding these just as a basis is if I'm going to DraftKings website, and if you're on mobile, it may look a little different. When you first open it up, it's going to look like this. Why is my head in the way? Guys, come on. All right. When you first open it up, it looks like this. What I'm doing is I'm going over to NBA Finals, and all these tabs have different bets in them that deal with the series as a whole. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be referencing when I talk about DraftKings. On FanDuel, if I go to NBA, it brings up this page, the game tomorrow. If I click on this tab, NBA Finals, I'm going to be referencing things in these tabs. Okay, so when you look at this, I've taken screenshots of each of the bets that I like, and that's where you can find them all. Okay, so let's take a look here first and foremost at FanDuel. And before we get started, what I want to say is this is entertainment. This is fun. This is not necessarily EV or value. I'm going to explain spots that I think may hold value, may have an edge, but after all, okay, I'm not sitting here telling you that I can handicap accurately one of the hardest sports to handicap, and that is the NBA, and especially a game of this much attention and this much money, which is the finals. So let's just be clear that I'm not guaranteeing you anything by betting this, all right? This is just things I like and things that I will be betting because I think there is something to be said about each of these. Okay, clear that up. First thing that caught my eye on FanDuel was this prop right here. Jokic to record 50 points, rebounds, assists combined in every NBA Finals game at 11-1. So obviously when you see this number, this is not something that is likely to occur. I went back and looked, and in the Lakers series, he hit this number, 50 points, rebounds, assists, in 3 out of 4 games. Okay? In the Suns, he hit it every game. 6 out of 6 games in that series, he hit 50 combined points, rebounds, assists. And in the Wolves game, only 3 out of 5. On the year, he's averaging 47 points, rebounds, and assists. Okay, so what do I think about when I look at this? I think that he's going to be playing a ton of minutes because it's the NBA Finals, 1. 2, I don't believe that the Heat can match up with Jokic, period. Bam does play good defense. His offense has looked awful. Defensively, he's looked good. But I don't think the Heat have played a big man, obviously not the caliber of Jokic. I mean, if we look back through the series, we have the Knicks, so Mitchell Robinson. We have the Celtics, so Horford and Robert Williams. And then we have the Bucks, so Brook Lopez, okay? So Jokic is going to be a completely different ballgame for these guys. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Spoelstra. He is the best coach in the NBA right now, and he has done everything he needs to get his team to this point. So will he have an answer for Jokic? I believe he will attempt to, and he might. But I just think for 11-1, the value here is in the bettor's favor. If this loses, it is a situation where I think Spo draws up something where Jokic is getting double teamed, and his scoring stays about 25 points, but then again, if he stays at 25 points, he's passing the ball. He's getting 12 assists. Can he grab 12 rebounds over Bam? And then who else, right? Who has height on that team? I think it's a good bet. Okay, so that's what I'm definitely looking at as my first pick for FanDuel. Second one, Butler to make a 3 in every game of the finals at plus 500. What I've done is I've looked at his odds to make a 3 in this first game. DraftKings has the shortest odds for him to make a 3. So his least likely to make a three odds were on DraftKings, and that is at minus 235. If you plug minus 235 into a parlay calculator, so you're adding it into 4 games, okay, he hits it in 4 straight games. Fair value for this is plus 312. All right. So ultimately, what the next 3 picks are going to explain to you is if you think Denver sweeps, all 3 of these become value bets. If you think Denver wins 4 and Miami wins 1, or there's just 5 games in the series, Miami wins 4-1, which should not happen. A lot of these are very, very slim value. If you think this series goes to 6 games, all of these kind of lose their value. So that's where FanDuel may be thinking about things that the average bettor is not. Now they do have this priced fair because if we go over here to the NBA Finals, if you go to total games, 4 is 420, 5 is 185. So the most likely outcome they're saying is 5 games, which is why 5 games is the most close to fair. Okay, so all of that being said, I do think there is value on Butler to hit a 3 in every game because lately he's been shooting a lot. I think this series is going to call for him to shoot a lot. I think this series is going to be the one where him getting into the paint is going to be the hardest. I think this is the one that he is going to be guarded the most difficultly in terms of how he approaches the basket. I think ultimately he's going to have to settle for some threes in this series. And so this to me has more value than maybe it had in some previous series. So that's the first one. Second one, Butler to record 2 steals in every finals game. I think Denver will push the ball. I think Denver will play with pace as they like to. And, Butler has been a maniac in terms of steals. Averaged, I want to say, and we can look, but I want to say he's averaged, 1.8 to 2 in most of these series. And just because I have to look now, okay, so he averaged 2.6 last series, 1.6, 1.8. So, he doesn't technically hit the prop in this series. He would miss it by 2 games. In this series, he misses it by 2 games. In this series, he misses it by 1 game. Again, it's not necessarily, it's 16 to 1, guys. It's not something that I'm saying, 50-50 shot. But I think that his odds to hit this are higher than a 16 to 1 payout. So that would be the second sort of series-long player prop that I like. Third one, Robinson to make 2 threes in every finals game. And the more I put this in here, the more hesitant I am because Hero could come back third game. And if he comes back, he's eating in someone's minutes, maybe Robinson's. Obviously, Martin has been exploding. Vincent and Strus have been reliable, although Vincent did hurt his ankle. But Robinson's job out there is to hit threes. And if they get behind in a game, they're not going to... Putting Robinson out there is not going to hurt anything, right? He does not take away from their lineup in any way because the matchup here... You want big guys, but who's Miami going to throw in that's big anyway? I just think that if anything, Miami is going to try volume scoring, and Robinson is your volume scoring guy. So for that reason, I do think there is some value in Robinson to hit 2 threes in every game for a guy who's only going to be shooting threes at 13 to 1. All right, two more bets I like on FanDuel. Last player prop I like on FanDuel is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to score 20 points in any of the finals games. Interestingly enough, all right, there is something interesting to be said here. These 3 are opposite of this. This is saying in every game. So it's a parlay, boom, 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 boom. And this is the opposite. He just has to do it one time. So in these bets, the more games that happen, the worse value they have. In this one, the more games that happens, the more value they have. First thing I'll point out is this bet is plus 250 on DraftKings. So you're getting already some decent value just across books right there. If we look at his game logs, how many times has he done this? Okay, 13, 17, 8, 21. He hits it there. 21, 7, 10, 2, 14, 10, 10, 5. Okay, he doesn't hit it there. So his game logs don't really support this. Um, my angle for this in terms of matchup wise is if the Heat are playing the game that I think they will, and that is Bam's on Jokic, but he is getting help from, Butler or Martin as sort of a double team or sagging off their guy. Jokic is the best big man passer, if not one of the best passers in the National Basketball Association. He knows what happens when guys double him. So if he's not getting doubled, he is going to score on Bam. If he is getting doubles, he's kicking it to either Porter Jr. or Gordon. Somebody's got to rotate to them. Another pass to KCP, right? I I just think that the matchup here, in terms of what defensively Miami is going to have to do to win, opens the door for Caldwell Pope to have opportunities. And that's what this bet is. This is an opportunity bet. So at 3-1, for him to score 21 time, I think is a great bet at that number. Last thing I like on FanDuel, and this is a bit silly, I do think Denver takes the first two games. I think Miami wins the game at home, first game back in Miami, but then I think Denver wins the second game in Miami, and Denver wins finally. I think this is a 4-1 series, and I think this is the order it is at 7-1. Again, no value, no, what is it on I know it's less on, sorry, I know it's less on DraftKings, but I do want to see how close it is on DraftKings. Sorry, should have had this up. Series outcome. Oh boy. It's more on DraftKings. Guys, I'm a fool. No, it's not. No, it's not. Denver, Miami, Denver. 650. Okay, so you're getting a small bonus on FanDuel. I did know that. Okay. I'm not a fool. So that is something I like just as a fan perspective. Okay, I'm not claiming value. I'm not saying it's a good bet. I'm just saying that's what I like for this series. All right, moving on to DraftKings, and I just have 3 bets on DraftKings. One of which is, I think, my best bet of the entire card, the entire NBA Finals card. What's wrong with saying card? Okay. And I may change my mind because this, let's just look. Jokic to average 12 assists in the NBA Finals at plus 750. I'm sorry. All right. He averaged 11.2 against the Lakers. He averaged 10.3 against the Sun, and he averaged 9 versus the Timberwolves. As goes for my KCP 20 points in any game, goes my Jokic 12 assists. If they double him, that's an assist after an assist after an assist. So I think while this guy, without being necessarily doubled, right? Davis can match up with him. Ayton can match up with him. Rudy Gobert can match up with him. Can Bam? I don't think so. Bam is small for a center. He's light for a center. So I just think that the key to victory is a double team. And if a double team happens, that's a pass to the best passer in the NBA, to a team full of shooters. At 7.5-1, this is a great spot, okay? In my opinion, right? Now, I'm going off of I'm going off of very slim data, and I'm going off of my feelings, right? And we should not bet on our feelings and call something value. But 7-1 for that number, I think, is too high. Okay, especially when his series, and we'll get to this page in a second. They have his line at fair odds are 10.5 for him to average 10.5 for the series is fair. So you throw in 2 extra assists and you're boosting the odds by 7 times. I take that. I take that line. Okay, this one, probably is the longest shot on any of them. Jokic to outscore Butler in every game. I think these two pair well together, right? If they're not able to stop Jokic and he's scoring, I think he's scoring 30 a game or has the ability to score 30 a game. And I don't think Butler touches 31 time in this series. Mark it down, pencil it in, pin it in, get your Sharpie out. Butler will not score 30 in this series, okay? And I think Jokic could score 30 in every game if he had to. So at 20 to 1, this is not a bankroll buster. This is not something I want you to put, I think my max on this is like 470, $4.70, right? So this is a fun ticket for me. I just think at 20 to 1, it has value in terms of the matchup. Okay. Probably my best bet of anything. And we'll talk about player breakdowns in just a second, then we'll wrap this up. But Denver Nuggets to have the highest scoring game in the NBA Finals at minus 140. So how does this bet lose? This bet loses if Miami wins a game in an offensive, I'll call it one of the best offensive performances of the finals. If Miami wins a game, I think it's going to be because they play great defense. They slow the pace down. They are able to control Denver. They're able to hold the ball and get good looks and be efficient. So, do I see Miami scoring over 120 points and winning a game? No. I don't think they can keep pace, with Denver unless we get, a 7 overtime game, right? I don't think that Miami can score 120 and win the game. Do I think that Denver could put up 130, in Miami, towards the end, maybe they got a 10-point lead and they let Miami come back a little bit. Miami puts up 120, sure. But do I think Miami controls the game enough to win with 120? No. So what I'm saying is the only way this loses is if Miami's highest scoring game comes in a win, and that is above Denver's highest scoring game. So I just think that at minus 140, I really, if I had to set this line myself, I would say this is closer to a minus 200, minus 225. I think Denver gets a 130 game. They're able to push the pace. Probably one of these first games where they're rested and Miami comes in tired on practically no rest. I think they're able to push the pace, and I think they're able to score 130. And I don't think Miami is going to win a game scoring over 130. So, final answer, best bet of the series, Denver Nuggets to have the highest scoring game in the finals at minus 140. What I did quickly here, and there's not a lot to talk about, is I took each player's average for the postseason. So postseason points average, rebounds average, assists average, and threes average. And I've put it in here. In the gray is their line on Fanduel. So if we go to Fanduel and we go to points per game, right? Aaron Gordon points per game finals 11.7, 11.7. I think the things I highlighted in green are things that are interesting to me, and I will actually change this real quick to make it a little bit easier to understand. Green means go, right? Green means bet the over on this. I think Porter could average above 15.5 points this series. Yes, Jokic is bigger than Bam, but Porter is also, sizably bigger than some of these other players on Miami. Butler's 6'7", I think. Martin's 6'5". What is... How tall? Jeez. Martin is 6'5", and Pope is 6'5". Michael Porter Jr. height. So let's say worst case Butler's guarding him. Michael Porter Jr. is 3 inches taller than Butler. Golly. And Gordon's 6'8", so Gordon's taller than Butler. So, Gordon. Oh gosh, guys. Okay. So let's just do this. Okay. Let's say it's Bam and Jokic. Let's say it's Michael Porter Jr. guarded by Butler. Let's say it's Martin guarded by Gordon. All right. Please don't tell me like Bam is some 6'10". He might actually be as tall as Jokic. Bam Adebayo height. 6'9". So 2 inches. So 2-inch advantage, 3-inch advantage, 3-inch advantage. And that's if these guys switch, right? If I realize now what I did, I need to switch these two guys around. I got the teams mixed up. But if Butler guards Gordon, the height's even, but then Martin's 6 inches short. They can't do that. They Butler has to guard Michael Porter Jr. And so then Gordon has a 3 inch advantage on Martin. I'm saying all this to say, I think if we think about a double team in this situation, because of what I've just talked about, these two guys are going to be taking more shots than they've taken these two series. You already see Gordon averaging 13 in this series, so to have it at 11, I think is a good number. And, it is more. They are projecting him to exceed his average in this series, and I think that's fair. So maybe we ignore Porter. Maybe we say this is fair, but I do think Gordon at 11.7 to average more than that, I think it's a great spot for him. So let's go ahead and do this, right? I think this is something to keep in mind. I don't think it's a bad bet. I think it's a fair bet. But I do think that is a good bet. Call me a hater. But I think this is where the Butler is, I'm not taking anything away from him. He's done everything he needed to and more. He's exceeded every expectation. But I think the train is stopping. I think we are pulled into the station and Butler's getting off and he's saying, I'm going to go enjoy a nice tenderloin and some waffle fries because I'm done. And I think he's done. And I just defensively, I think this is the team suited best to match up with him. I mean, he has been playing out of his mind, and he's averaged 28.5 points in the playoffs. Do I think he can walk in again in this type of a situation with this matchup on this shorter rest and average 27 I do not. Okay, so I'm taking the under on his points. Same thing with his rebounds. These guys have height over him. It's to average 7.5 rebounds in this series, I think is a pretty crazy expectation. The only thing I will say that hurts these two or makes these bad bets is if this man plays 38 minutes a game. Okay, what has he been averaging? Because it's probably quite a bit. He's averaged, 38 minutes a game. So he averaged 39 in that series, 41, 37. Okay, so he's going to average 38 minutes a game. So, okay. So maybe you don't want to bet these. That's totally fine. I will probably get to them, but I can see the drawback to these is that he's going to be playing a ton of minutes, and maybe that is something that scares you away. Totally fine. Something else to keep in mind, but I do think their defense is going to be good enough that he's going to be able to kick it, and I think they're going to want volume threes to be able to keep up, and so I can see this assist number being fair, even though his average for the series, for the playoffs, has been lower. So, okay, so that is some of the bets that I like in terms of this series. I'll go ahead and zoom it out here so you can take a look at all of it. Again, that's what I like. If I had to make my best bets, or I think the bets with the most value, I'm going to go with this right here. Nuggets have the most points as my overall best bet. Value bets would be Jokic 12 assists, Jokic 50 points, rebounds, and assists, and then probably Gordon over 11.5 points on the average. So definitely something I would imagine that you get to if you think about it, and I hope you think about it. Other than that, if you have questions, shoot me a comment. Message me on anything. I'm happy to answer anything. Green Means Go Betting on Twitter. Green Means Go Betting on TikTok. Check those out. Post updates quite frequently. So best of luck. And I'll be providing updates as we continue this series. But hopefully we can cash on some of these future type bets. And I will see you next time.